The title for this talk is Grateful for ECK and the Teacher Too. And the ECK and the teacher are one and the same. It's the Mahanta, the living ECK Master. The Mahanta is the inner side of the Divine Spirit, and the living ECK Master is the physical part, and they're all both one. They just operate in different fields. One is universal, and this one has had falls and little things like that, and so I had a broken hip years ago, and it didn't heal quite well, so I'm lucky to get along. And in the meantime, it's also working off. It sounds big-headed and stuff, but it's so working off, helping people work off karma. So this story is about Yvonne, and she was about 7 years old when her parents, who were members, devout members of the Church of the Brethren, took her to a convention. There were about 1,000 people in there, and one couldn't leave his chair unguarded because somebody would take it. There were just people all over the place, and speakers from somewhere overseas, she says. This happened in Belfast, Ireland, by the way. And they had a chart, and on it they showed the miracles of Jesus, like raising Lazarus from the dead and others. And when they finished, it was time for the questions and answers. And a young man got up and he asked, he says, how come we have no miracles now, today? And because Jesus had said, the things I do, ye can do also. And he said, so why aren't we? One of the speakers very glibly said, this was just a dispensation of grace. Who got the grace, you know? You know, did you get a license or something? And were you qualified and said, I have grace, you know? And he didn't know. But Yvonne remembered this, and she is grateful as she notes that in ECK, miracles happen all the time. And that's if you're an ECK. And I think sometimes many of you have found the same thing, miracles taking place where things happen where they shouldn't have happened, but they did. See, we're here to get experience, and that means from high to low. And there are low in the evolutionary spiritual unfoldment area. There are some people who come here almost like animals. And you can look around and see pockets of, you know, violence and so on that these people do because they're coming in the pipeline. And there, fortunately, are good people here to offset it. This is a warring world where where there's a positive, there's a negative. And this goes for governments, it goes for nations, always a positive, always a negative. And when these miracles occur, it's because of the ECK, or the Holy Spirit, and the inner teacher or guide, the Mahanta. And I mention these interchangeably, the teacher, the guide, the Mahanta. So I guess you'll just have to get used to it. Because these are just aspects of the Holy Spirit. That's all it is. Showing up in different ways, different faces. And Yvonne had another experience. It took place at her daughter's funeral, and this was years ago. And the night before, her daughter had come to her. Yvonne was supposed to give the eulogy the next day. That night, her daughter came to her and she said, "You have to tell him, death is nothing. I'm still here." And of course, this struck Yvonne very strongly because it came from her daughter. And there's an acquaintance of mine who recently lost his spouse, and he isn't in ECK. He publishes a newsletter, and he has quite a wide readership. And when his wife left, he just wanted one question. Will someone, they were together, I think 50, 60 years, and they were just meant for each other. They supported each other. They loved each other dearly. And he said, will anyone meet her on the other side? And I assured him someone would. There are many, many ways that people go over, and there are many, many combinations or people who may meet him. It may be a master, it could be Jesus, it could be the inner side of myself, it could be a brother, a father, a mother, it could be a relative or anything, just about anything you can imagine, because soul is an individual being, is unique. That means there are no more like you. You are it. And when you go over, there are almost as many different ways of being greeted there, not quite so many as that, of greeting you and showing you over and getting you established on the other side, whatever is needed for your state of unfoldment. Now this story is from a Nigerian again. Thomas, he was in charge of the ECK Center there, and he told a story about a visitor to the ECK Center. James was an occasional visitor, so Thomas introduced him to the Hugh and the Mahanta, the living ECK master. He explained to him that he could sing Hugh to enjoy God's love and also receive guidance from God in his dreams. So he gave him what he needed. But James hadn't taken that seriously, because he was trying to cope with daily survival. He was living hand to mouth on the street, didn't know how he was going to make it through the day. He really had it tough. And so his relationship with the ECK Center and Thomas fizzled out. And then, after a very long absence, James reappeared. Sometimes I have a hard time with these stories. He insisted on seeing Thomas. He said, it's urgent, I've got to see him. So he comes bursting into the ECK Center. It was a Sunday, and Thomas had just finished talking with people privately. And then James came in. He said he'd been in prison for the last 5 years. And things had been tough for him. A powerful uncle who had an in with the police had them put him in prison without any sort of trial. The uncle accused him of trying to take some family land as his own, and James knew nothing about any of this at all. Prison life had been very hard, and he never still learned why he was there. He was just there. And then at some point, it was soon after that, he was in the prison, and he was in the outer confines, still in the prison, and he saw a man off on the other side of this containment, and he had a shirt on that said Eckankar. So he ran over to him, and he said, I know Eckankar, I know Eckankar. And so the man, acknowledged it. And so then they didn't talk anymore. And James was so happy. Sorry, I'm doing my best. He remembered the time he and Thomas had spent together at the ECK Center. And he also remembered the hue, and he said, that night he was going to sing Hugh for 30 minutes, and he did. The next morning, the guards came, and they said, come along with us. And of course, he had no idea, James had no idea where they were going. They took him through 2 barriers, and then they said, you're free. There were no questions, no papers to sign. And that's why he had come running, because he had liberation, the greatest miracle of his life. And when he got to the ECK Center, he kept repeating, there is power in the hue. There is power in the hue. There is power in the hue. And there is. I love the hue when you sing it here before I come out. I get teary, and I'm not usually a teary person. But I love the hue. Freedom, such a beautiful gift. And that's what I've come is to offer you spiritual freedom. Thank you for coming. May the blessings be.